Hello, không biết có vấn đề gì không đây? Mẹ Sida rồi. Alo, có ai nghe được không ạ? Nghe không nhỉ? Hy vọng là nghe được đi. Không thì sẽ ổn đâu. Alo, thì nghe không đây? Alo, ờ, alo. Có vẻ ổn rồi đấy nhỉ? Giờ thì chắc là vào trực tiếp thôi.
Bố cho tivi mẹ bớt đi bố ơi.
Giờ thì chắc là vào trực tiếp thôi.
Bố cho tivi mẹ bớt đi bố ơi.
Alo, alo,
Bố cho tivi.
alo, alo, alo. Bây giờ tình hình là Sida vãi rồi rồi. Em biết thế nào đây? Ai, đâu, bật tình hình là giờ đâu. Ú. Phát này quá mà khéo. Vâng, thôi thì kệ mẹ, cứ cố gắng cát đi.
Expected a few more storms to be available by now. Charges are dropped, but corrosive balls will take care of these pylons. This is a difficult horde for Hearthstone. It's doable, but very difficult.
There's not that many Banelings, but Ravager Ling is all you really need against the Blinkstalkers. There's no charge lots in here, not a lot of Adepts. Nice Storms landing on the Ravagers and the Banelings, but a good bunch of Corrosive Vials spreading across that Protoss army. The Sentry energy is almost all depleted at this point.
That Archon really doesn't do that much. Blink is about to finish up, and +2 is about to finish up, but just 3 Immortals, a bunch of Adepts. I don't know if Hearthstone can defend here. If he does defend, he's going to be in a fantastic position with +2, and he's still doing some damage on the other side of the map. I love it. 2 Adepts to be able to take down 4 or 5 drones, but will he defend at home? Photon Overcharge doing obviously a really good job in buying as much time as possible.
That's the aim of the game for Hearthstone right now. Buy time, hang on. He's got 4 bases mining. He's way up in workers. If he can just buy a minutes, he's easily going to overwhelm Lambo. But right now, it's danger time. There's a lot of Ravagers, Zerglings.
Nói chung là tình hình bây giờ đang cái game này game đầu tiên thôi, giữa Lambo và Hearthstone. Anh Protoss Lambo này Pico quên, anh Hearthstone này Pico có vẻ khá là tốt. Theo tình hình hiện tại thì có lẽ là đang lợi thế hơn cho Protoss. Với lượng worker hơn và lượng army thì Protoss chủ yếu tập trung vào những army có khả năng có những sát thương trên diện rộng và nhiều. Và bây giờ chưa kể unit của anh này cũng đang rất là đông, cho nên cũng chả phải sợ gì cả. Nhưng mà chúng ta có thể thấy là Protoss thì có thể quát ra unit rất là nhanh, còn Zerg thì phải kéo army từ nhà lên. Ôi dồi ôi. Chúng ta có thể thấy bây giờ thì Protoss lại có lợi thế hơn rồi. Đang lợi thế hơn bắt đầu rất rõ ràng. Zerg với kinh tế của 4 mỏ và lượng lượng worker ít hơn thì về lâu về dài sẽ không phải là khả năng đánh được với Protoss, khi Protoss đã cũng có 4 mỏ ngang với Zerg rồi. Như thế thì tôi nghĩ là trận đấu sẽ kết thúc sớm thôi. Khi Protoss đã có Storm rồi, anh Hearthstone này anh khá là chắc ấy. Đây mỏ trên lại còn có cả canon cắm để phòng ngự rồi. Wow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 con bên linh. 7 con bên linh này có lẽ sẽ khó mà gây được thiệt hại khi ở đây ngày quân rất là kỹ càng. Wow, cho cả DT đi để scout kìa. Để xem có ăn mỏ không đây mà. Có lẽ là rất muốn dứt điểm chỉ trong vòng 4, chỉ giới hạn dứt điểm càng sớm càng tốt chắc. Cửa vào. Cửa nhớ cứ lên em đi. Nhưng mà vấn đề bây giờ là wow, có overlord rồi. Oversee rồi, cho nên bị phát hiện rồi. Rất giờ mới đặt mỏ 5 và Protoss cũng đã có mỏ 5 rồi. Vậy là kinh tế hai bên ngang nhau. Nếu mà kinh tế ngang nhau thì Protoss sẽ có lợi thế hơn rất là nhiều. Nhưng mà bù lại thì với lượng army của Zerg có thể gọi rất là nhanh. Chúng ta thấy bây giờ luôn chênh hơn 20 supply army. Nhưng mà anh Zerg này anh ý vẫn cứ theo một combo là Linh bên với cả Rốt Ravager. Một combo khá là cục xúc. Bù lại thì Protoss đang có rất nhiều Immortal cũng như Storm. Vâng, và bây giờ anh ấy đang kéo một con Quap Pyram đi để drop vào Mail Bay. Có lẽ là Storm chăng? Không phải là Zilot, bây giờ anh sẽ quát rất nhiều Zilot vào. Quát không? Chắc không quát đâu. Đúng là không thể quát được rồi. Thứ nhất là Mail Bay giờ cũng chả có gì cả. Chưa kể là anh ý nếu chỉ đập vào đấy mà không có một đạo quân tấn công vào hướng chính thì sẽ không thể thu hút sự chú ý được của Zerg. Bù lại Zerg bây giờ đẻ army liên tục 134 supply army rồi. Protoss bây giờ có đến tận 6 con, đã gọi ra 6 con HT Storm. Anh Huston này lại gọi thêm một Warp Pyramid nữa. Tôi nghĩ có lẽ sẽ là một Warp Pyramid này đi với Mail Bay, còn Warp Pyramid này sẽ là drop Zilot vào thẳng Mail Bay. Vâng, và anh ấy đã lên thêm nhà Muta rồi. Đúng, cũng đúng thôi. Bây giờ Protoss toàn army tay ngắn cả, lại lượng blink khá là ít, thì Muta có thể càn hết tất cả các cái ở bay còn lại. Thôi xong rồi, bây giờ anh bị sâu down rồi. Tôi nghĩ có lẽ là Zerg sẽ win game này thôi. Bây giờ bị sâu down hết cả lại thế này rồi thì có vẻ không ổn. Có vãi lìn, có vẻ như không ổn, nhưng mà cùng là với lượng chỉ toàn linh nhiều hơn so với Rốt Ravager, cho nên Protoss vẫn giành chiến thắng. Dòng Fameco khá là ảo lòi. Và một khuôn mặt rất là, hình như thằng này là thằng Protoss thì phải. Một khuôn mặt rất cảm xúc. Không biết có tiếng không nhỉ? Thử check lại xem. Ok, tiếng khá là ngon. Vâng, giờ chúng ta đang nghe anh Rusty bình luận. Mình nhớ không nhầm đây trận BO3, như vậy thì sẽ vẫn còn ít nhất là một game nữa. Nào bây giờ có lẽ là đang chuẩn bị vào game tiếp theo rồi. Mình đánh giá các trận vừa rồi thì có vẻ như là Huston đánh cũng khá là chắc chắn. Cũng như thể hiện khả năng Michael cảm giác có phần vượt hơn thì phải so với anh rớt kia thì phải. Nhất là những pha sử dụng blink ở depth ở lúc ở B3 khá là điêu luyện. Ồ. Trong lúc đang nghe hai bình luận, chúng ta nghe hai bình luận viên bình luận.
I wish I could go in game, but we got dropped right after. We're going to try to rejoin it here, although I don't know if we're going to get in there in time. But Cannon Rush destroys the hatchery. TLO going for Ling drops.
Yeah.
And then boom, disconnect. A nail biter.
Creativity just at its finest. Counter drop against the cannon rush. That's TLO for you.
So other matches that were going on, I believe you had Snoop versus DNS Artosis,
Yes,
but
yes,
it hadn't
that's
gotten very far in.
No, they like the Stargate wasn't finished yet. They hadn't really made any units. There was maybe like an adept on the map. So
Right.
nothing big. We're resuming from replay. There was some sort of disconnection. So
Finally, there was Dana versus Elroy, but I don't think he got anywhere
Yeah,
into
the
it.
first one dropped early, and the second one was like 5 minutes in, and I didn't really follow because Tasteless kept making jokes to me.
Oh,
and I was listening to him.
Well, you guys
I'm
were a
gonna
little bit
admit it.
jealous that I had the cool game on my laptop. Tasteless rolls sevens every time.
I know. Cannon Rush. That's like, oh, that's your domain.
I'm like,
as well.
oh, I know about
This
this.
is
I've done
domain.
this before. I'm like, yeah, those cannons are placed pretty well. Okay.
All right, cool. But overall, we are going to be getting into game number 2 back on the main casting desk with the boys in just a moment here. So, without further ado, we can head over to Harstam and Lambo for game number 2.
Thank you guys on the desk there. It is going to be very interesting to see what does happen in game number 2. Harstam there, looking around a little bit, of course, very happy to hold on in that game number 1.
Yeah.
I really love that adept sentry push. Some Protoss players, I think, sometimes get in the mindset of, let's sit back, you know, I've got the defender's advantage in the late game. But I think you've got to mix in these sort of aggressive moves to keep Zerg on their toes, because otherwise Zerg is so greedy, man. If you just let them do their thing, they'll get to the mid game in such a smooth position, and then it's so hard to stop their big waves of attacks.
Yeah, I think that attack was incredibly important, especially because he opened up with 8-9 adepts with resonating glaives, and he really didn't get any work done. Of course, he did some indirect damage by forcing out Lings and forcing Lambo to make 6 Bailings, I believe it was, and a few more additional. And I still think there was one moment where Lambo should have gone for the surround and just tried to connect with the Banes. I'm not saying that he would have killed everything there, but I think just cleaning up those adapts, trading it for Ling Bane is always good for the Zerg. Obviously, if you lose drones, then it's good for the Protoss.
Yeah.
But just trying to reduce that Protoss army, I think that would have been very nice. And I particularly thought that the hold by Harstem in the right bottom side at his base, you know, between his fourth and his third was very impressive. Excellent pylon spread. I mean, I know people don't like to hear this. It's like, oh, Herpy Derp, he spread pylons everywhere. It's so difficult. But he really needed to buy a little bit more time because the Zerg army can be pretty overwhelming in that phase in the game. But he did a very cool and collected job. Only dropped one photon overcharge at a time, had a perfect spread of his units and the pylons, and he just bought enough time, and in the end he kept the Immortals alive. And the moment that all the Lings and Banes were gone, that's when he jumped on top of the Ravagers, and that's when he truly created the advantage for himself that he never gave away anymore.
Sometimes we do get so used to kind of watching these pro games where the Protoss players are always so patient that we forget just how important it is and how much pressure there is that the Zerg player puts on the Protoss in the mid game, where if that Protoss player gets surrounded in the open, it's just over in the snap of the fingers. You know, the Zerg has that real explosive power in the mid game, but Harstem really used that very well. Of course, there is just that slight tech issue, that disconnect the Kalaris was telling us about, so we're making sure everything is 100% set up before we do get started into game number 2. And it's going to be, a very interesting game number 2. I'm not sure exactly what map we're going into, but I believe the next one will actually be Lambo's pick.
Yeah, just to attest to what you just said as well, I think one of the most important things for Protoss as well is just to deny creep spread. I mean, I'm not saying anything new here. We've obviously been aware of this since 2010, but the game changes, and sometimes I think with certain playstyles it's a little more important, less important. You know, there were days where I really didn't care if Zerg had the entire map. If I could max out on 8 Colossus, a bunch of Void Rays and Storm, I'd be like, lol, 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 my army's never gonna die! But that's not the case anymore, and it's really important that you are active with that War Prism and a couple of Adapts and a couple of Immortals and Sentries. Even if your push doesn't end the game, what you do is you clean up all the creep. You got an Extractor, he picked up 1 or 2 Queens, and that kind of stuff just makes it a lot harder for Lambo to later on stream reinforcements across the map and also see all these little Adapt run-bys coming. So, you know, I think it's very important that Harstem does do stuff like this and he keeps it in his play.
You know what's an interesting thing I was actually just kind of musing about in my head? I was thinking about the difference between Baneling openings as opposed to Ravager openings for Zerg and ZVP, and you were talking about how you really like this because you can just shut down the Adept pressure. But in that game we did see that, you know, Harstem kind of kept threatening a little bit, gained a bit of map control, and it's interesting with that follow-up attack he did with the sentries, with just a couple of mortals and a whole bunch of adepts. If you don't open up roaches, it's actually very hard to have out the Ravagers, you know, suddenly. You see that attack move out, you've only got a few seconds to react. So I do wonder if specifically that's something where Harstem clicks in his head and he says, against a Ling Bane opening, this has even more of a chance of working out very well because you're not going to be able to just morph 5 Ravagers and knock my force fields down.
Absolutely, but this also goes back to the previous attack where if the Protoss moves out with all the Adapts, I feel once the Zerg starts making Banes, I feel in that moment you say, okay, I want to kill these Adapts. You don't make the Banes, you don't make 6 Banes just to be defensive. If you just want to be defensive and you're okay with the Adapts going back, I say then you only make 3 Banes or something, and these are all small things, but it really does add up because everything in Zerg snowballs so incredibly much. I feel with the amount of Banes that Lambo had, at that point I feel you made a decision, make a few more links, try to go for the surround, try to reduce that Protoss army size, because you already made that commitment, because I feel like 6 Banes while not taking the fight, I think that's not good enough, and obviously like a less skilled Protoss player will still be like, wow, you know, I open up with gateways and resonating glaives, I need to kill drones, shade in, boof, everything dies, you're like, oh my god, you know, now I'm so far behind. Obviously that's what Lambo hoped for, but Harstem is too good for that. Then I still feel maybe make a few extra links, so it looks like you have too many, but at least you can get the wraparound and the Banes can connect, and it could be a completely different game.
It's so funny as well because there are so many differences based on these small decisions, and I know, speaking to a lot of these Zerg players, thinking back to the Frozen Temple era of ZVP, where Neeb, you know, you'd be so afraid to engage the Adepts because if they did spread out, take a good trade, and then, oh, he built a Warp Prism after that, and then, you know, they warp in another 5 Adepts or something, and you end up stuck in this position as Zerg where you can't keep up in the production. But I still agree with you, Kevin, that if you can shut it down, it's amazing for the Zerg, and it's incredible. So it is going to be interesting to see how they open up in the next game, because I don't think Harstem's the kind of guy to just go Nexus first, Adept Glaive pressure again. I feel like he's the kind of guy who the next game we're almost definitely going to see something involving Oracles or an Archon drop, because he is a guy who loves to mix it up based on the map, based on how the series is playing out.
Yeah, we could speculate a little about the map as we don't know it. What do you expect to see? I say there is a good chance that We might see some.
Well, I feel like actually, before I said that was
Belcher,
probably
maybe?
Hostum's pick, but if I think about it, maybe it actually was Lambo's pick because Zerg's really like the wide open areas on Newkirk, right? So if it's a Protoss pick, I think Proxima Station is a map we keep seeing a lot of Protoss players choose because hey, there's only one way into my 3 base.
Yes, that's true, but I must say the gold bases make it actually a little bit more complicated. When the map just came out, I was like, man, I love this map against Zerg, you know, like I can do whatever I want, I can always get carriers, this is amazing. But the moment that Zerg players actually started to knock down the rocks and started taking the gold, I was like, maybe this map is not as easy as I thought it was for Protoss. So.
Yeah, that's actually interesting. I haven't seen that too much. Of course, guys, we are just going to very quickly hop on over to the analysis desk and we'll be right back.
Thank you very much, guys. All right, we do have a few games going on at the desk at the moment that we can check in with. So let's firstly go over to Dana versus Elroy with Todd. What's going on over there, Todd?
It's a roach war, as usual in ZVZ. Dana actually went for a +1 timing with a ton of roaches, but Elroy was ready on his side of the map. It's kind of hard to attack into the third base on this map. You have to go all the way around, especially without roach speeds. That did kick in maybe a little bit late. So now we're at the point where Elroy, it looks like he has the better army, and especially if we look at the supply there, but somehow Dana is holding in that choke here so far, and they're just going to keep on spamming, I guess, corrosive bite for now and wait and see who breaks first.
That fight will go on
This
for
fight
quite a while.
may actually never end. They're going to mine out the map, and this is still going to be happening. Look at this blood.
Carnage, absolute carnage.
Take it away, Caleb.
Thank you very much.
This game.
All right, so we can check in with another game going on down the line as well, as we do have Artosis currently in Snoop versus DNS.
Yeah, it's actually a really good one right now if we can jump right in. It's kind of crazy. Like, DNS started with some very good harassment with the Depths and Oracles and got like 20 drones right off the bat. But Snoot has fought back and now has a bunch of mutas, so I'll show my awesome observing here. See those mutas? They're killing probes, man. They're killing them dead. Okay, but DNS, he is all like, I don't have anti-muta, so let's go.
Yeah.
And this is turning a little bit base tradey right now. I don't know who's going to take it.
Yeah, that looks crazy. Oh, wow.
But if we look at the supply, it's actually pretty close to
Oh, I'm liking it.
Yeah. No, this is a sick army, though, right now by DNS. Really a good close game so far.
Snoot has more army, but his army is not as good.
Yeah.
Like to take this head-on, so usually Zergs would just base trade. But
Yeah.
And that's what we see. Like, the mutas are just, they are ravaging the probes.
Doing very well. Well, that will continue on. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Of course, we do have a final game going on, which started with a cannon rush tasteless, but has gone a little bit further now.
Yes, guys, join me on my PC for a real treat of a game. We've had cannon rushes that eventually got stopped. We're now into an Archon harass that was just denied by those mutas. This has been a really back-and-forth game. TLO seems to be stabilizing really well. Goss, he did have that really sick cheese early on. TLO, known as a very adaptive player.
I'm cordially inviting you to look at the bottom of your screen here.
Cordially inviting you.
Will you please say it for me, Todd?
Look at the supply.
Look at the supply.
Wow, I guess he truly has stabilized, hasn't he?
And I think from here, this game looks like it's about to, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty
might
much the
be over.
GG if it ends now.
Yeah. Just keep going.
Whoa.
Whoa.
That's not the one.
Full of surprise.
That's a
GGs.
preemptive GG right there.
I like how when I come to you on the desk, that I just can't take it seriously.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Sounds like a personal problem to me.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you, as those games will continue on. Overall, we still just need a little bit more time before we actually go over to Harstum versus Lambo. But as things are unfolding,
Can we jump back in on the computer one, maybe?
we might be able to.
Because we've got some development.
We have the
development
technology.
here. Elroy kept on attacking, and I think eventually he overextended, and it looks like Dana is going to be taking
You know what
game
we got to
number
do
one.
is switch from that to PC number 2 here because these mutalisks are not
GG.
going away. Yeah, look at that. You got the GG right there. Look at this. Yeah.
Wait a minute. No.
See those mutas? Look at that. No more Nexus. Looks like he had a pylon here. It's no longer there. Miss you in control. Wish you were here with us. You know, but these mutas are really giving him a hard time, despite the fact he had such a strong army.
Shouldn't DNS be across the map with his army to try and end it or like attack?
Yeah, it's
actually accept
like
the base trade.
Archons trying to run around this area to catch mutalisks is not something that will ever occur. But like, this is look at these mutas, man. It's got 14 mutas, and they are just running wild.
Running wild.
Yeah,
Maybe we should go back over to my screen for a second and see what's going on over here. Can we do it in time? GG! We got the timing perfectly.
Oh my
That's
god.
right when it happened.
Oh my god.
Where were you the
amazing.
day that happened?
Oh, tasteless. You built that up perfectly.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
guys are fantastic. This is amazing.
You don't even need me at this point. Just have Tasteless do it all.
Uh-huh.
That's fine. He called that right down to the
That
T.
was
Oh,
so good.
if we go to my
Go back to
oh,
his screen.
Quick!
screen 2.
Screen 2!
Snoot holds the counter
Things
push.
unfolding.
All right. That's
Real
1-0.
time. Real time.
We're going off track, guys.
We've delved into chaos. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it. That was brilliant. That was brilliant stuff. Well, I think we should almost be ready for Harston versus Lambo now. So thank you very much, guys. We'll be checking in with you in just a moment's time. But for now, let's head over back to the casters.
Thank you, Analysis Desk, there for the insightful looks at all of those victory screens. Thank you very, very much.
I think the most important thing that I took away from that series is that TLO did stabilize on Proxima.
It was very close.
Yeah,
though. It was very close.
I mean, come on, like, you know, we all know what an Archon or 2 can do against 90 supply of Zerg, so that was awesome. I loved it. I loved every second of it.
That was quite beautiful. I love this new format as well because we actually get to see so many of the different games going on, and you can tell the guys on the desk are loving it as well. Oh man. So I think all of the issues have been sorted. We will be diving into map number 2 shortly. For you guys who've just joined us or forgotten where we were, Lambo versus Harston, map number 2 is what we're about to be jumping into. Harston managed to take out map number 1 quite decisively.
You know, I'm starting to feel a little bad for our Terran brothers out there. It's been like the biggest PvZ festival of the century so far today.
They have to wait for the next group.
I
The next
know.
bracket,
It's like
there's like
Daishi, Optimus,
Hero
Uthermal.
Marine, Uthermal, everyone
Yeah.
is in there. That one is like a really, really big Terran bracket. And a
Alright.
laser.
Yeah, okay. So don't worry
Yeah.
for all you Terran brothers.
Of course, once we get to the actual groups, we already have players like Innovation already qualified through
Yeah.
there. Beyond, I think, is Maru qualified through as well?
No.
Maru wasn't qualified, but there's a few beasts
Like,
out there.
If I was Maru, and I said this on my stream as well, like, you know, obviously, like, traveling from Korea to Poland can be rather expensive and
Yeah.
stuff. But I think if you finish top 8 in this tournament, you will already get $7,000. What are the odds that
That's-
Maru does not finish top 8 in this tournament? Like, I don't even have $7,000, but if I had them, like, I would pay for Maru's flight to come here and be like, hey, bro, you want to do 50-50 on the prize money of yours? Because I'm convinced that Maru would win, like, at least 20 Gs here. So
Yeah,
I think he should have gone.
I think he was also, you know, probably thinking it would be around GSL time, maybe
That's
not wanting
true.
to travel.
Yeah, he probably
Yeah.
expected to get ready for the semifinals, and I can't
Yeah.
blame him. I kind of thought he must have been getting ready for as well, but
Bit of a surprising
that
result over there.
TVT god, man, Ryung still got it.
Ryung's looking so good this season, and he is going to be playing here as well. I think tomorrow we're going to be seeing Ryung. I believe he's in the 4th open qualifying bracket, so that's going to be a really exciting one as well. He's probably one of the favorites to go through out of his.
Hey, that's a fun, little interesting fun fact there. Lambo held a 16-11 head-to-head advantage against Harston going into the match. Yeah, and
All those go for SC2s and you know, all the different tournaments back in the day, the Zotacs and everything else.
I would not have predicted that. If you would have asked me, I would have said that Harston would have probably had like at least a 2-1 win ratio over Lambo. Apparently I was wrong. That's Elroy, by the way, for the people who are not familiar with Elroy. Now we're looking at...
Not 100% sure, but it is cool, of course. If you guys are wondering where the other streams are,
I mean,
check out.
he's hiding behind the beanie, like, you can blame us. Like, how could we possibly say who that is? It's like, guess which StarCraft 2 player this is. And
Of course, we've got a whole bunch of different foreign language streams where you guys can go and watch most of the other matches that are live right now, if not all of them. So you can find those, of course, over on WCS StarCraft 2 brand new website and portal.
see which map it is. Second map is coming up between Lambo and Harston. Start?
Yeah, I did. That's one of my favorite new maps. It's Abyssal Reef. You know, I saw someone post on Reddit. Apparently there's like a Nemo hidden somewhere on the map.
Nemo?
Yeah, there's like a Nemo fish somewhere on Abyssal Reef, but I can't find it. I've been looking. So if anyone knows where that is, please do tweet at me and let me
You know Waldo, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's a Waldo on Belshire Vestige.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, this map's been around for like 3 years, man. I feel like I would have seen that.
nobody found him. But I do think we should put him in sometime soon. I just want to.
You had me there, Kevin. I was like, oh my god, he's like red and white, right? Like how could I not have seen that?
Maybe he's next to the campfire. There's always a little campfire.
Oh,
right,
yeah.
Right upside.
Or is there one on Belshire? I know there's one on Ohana.
I thought,
used
I
to
thought
have
it was on
campfires
Belcher as
on-
well.
Okay.
Maybe it was Ohana. You also know that no. That Ohana means okay, family. All right, we got that one out of the way.
I bet you had a bit of an emotional goodbye recently with Ben, of course.
Yeah,
You're
of
coming
course.
back to Europe, Kevin, to rejoin the motherland.
No, it was glorious. Hang out with good old Mr. Bitter. Got him to play some StarCraft 2. He was loving it. He was having a ball. You know, it's been a long time since he played some StarCraft. He's been busy in the corporate life, but we had a good time together. It was a lot of fun. What's also going to be fun is game number 2 between Lambo and Harstem here at the Intox 3 Masters Day 1. It's been a fun day so far. Nothing but PVZs on stream. But don't you worry, and Terran brothers out there later today. There will be plenty of Terrans to watch for you guys. But for now, all eyes will be on this match. Where we're looking at the main base of the Dutch Protoss. One map away from qualifying to the group stage. It's Harstem.
Hiện tại như game trước thì Lambo đã bị thua.
The anticipation is building.
He's looking G'd. He's been having some hard times over the last 6 months, but looking good so far. Of course, he does have to make it through this guy, our German Zerg player. A player who hasn't had any huge results yet, but he's been on the rise. It is Lambo. Very confident player, but unfortunately not able to have that huge breakthrough. He had a bit of bad luck last year at Katowice 1 year ago. He had to play Polt in the first round, ended up going down 1-3. I know he was very upset about that result, but here he's got another shot. This year it's a very different format, and got a shot right now against Harstem. Of course,
They're trying to show us Nemo. They're looking for it. There's plenty of fish in the middle of the
there's
map.
a lot of fish on this map, yeah.
But if there was Nemo here, would you put him in the middle? No, you wouldn't.
You've got to hide him in a corner
Yeah.
somewhere for sure.
Right middle, I'd say.
Also, because the middle is, it's kind of not a safe place for a child to grow up. There's a big shark floating above it and everything, so it's
But Nemo makes friends with. Right?
Oh yeah, after they try to eat his dad or something. I can't even remember. It's been a while since I watched Finding Nemo. But this map's really interesting, Kevin, because there's choke points everywhere. Like, it's absolutely crazy. And until you take down some of these rocks, a lot of the kind of ways to get to your opponent are very choked up. I personally don't really feel like it favors Protoss all that much, or Zerg all that much. I really feel it just creates a very different style of game. Do you have any kind of idea about who you think it tends towards?
I think it's decent to go up to 3 bases, but I also think this can be a very annoying map to deal with, like Ling Bane run-bys. And there's one thing that we didn't see from Lambo, and I did mention it. I'd love to see him research Overlord speed and try to drop some Lings or try to drop Banelings. If there is no Stargate on the map, I really feel this is almost a must. It's incredibly annoying for Protoss players to defend against Lings or Banes, especially Lings in your main, because Lings are faster than any other Protoss unit. So it's not just that you...
Nhìn sơ qua thì chúng ta có thể thấy rằng Lambo bây giờ mới chỉ lên speed cho Linh thôi, còn Harstem đã có thể lên nhà TC rồi. Như vậy thì khả năng cao thì Harstem sẽ đánh Erdit Speed Deep Speed Deep với cái gì nhỉ? Speed Deep với cả Phoenix, khả năng rất là cao là thế. Nhưng không, anh nghĩ là xây thêm một gate thì không phải là một cái gì đây? Xây cả gate đây ạ. Không phải chỉ là một pylon thôi ạ. Mình nhìn tưởng đấy. Và photon overcharge để phá ngay lập tức cái để phá cái gì nhỉ? Cái này gọi là cái gì nhỉ? Hack, đúng rồi, hack của Zerg. Bây giờ thì Zerg sẽ chắc chắn là sẽ mất cái hack này rồi. Vâng, và đúng như tôi nói, vậy là đã mất con mẹ nó cái hack rồi. Một cái trò rất là khổ bựa. Và như vậy thì Zerg quyết định là đặt nhà lên nhà bên Linknet để rút lại. Như chúng ta đã biết thì rõ ràng là khi Zerg không thể ăn được mỏ 3 sớm thì sẽ rất là bất lợi, bởi vì Zerg sẽ là một trong những Ray cần ăn 3 sớm, trừ nếu mà ăn 2 mỏ thì sẽ là có chủ ý từ trước là sẽ là rút với một combo nào đấy. Như vậy thì hiện tại chúng ta có thể thấy là Protoss sẽ là người có lợi thế hơn, bởi vì mỏ 3 của Zerg đặt rất là chậm. Hack của Zerg ngoại trừ có thể giúp cho cho rớt có những cái con lava nhiều hơn, cũng như nó sẽ giúp rớt giải trên cái đất, vùng đất của mình ra khắp bản đồ. Như vậy thì rớt đã phải ăn mỏ 3 ở dưới ram, mà nếu mà ăn mỏ 3 ở dưới ram này sẽ là khá là bất lợi cho việc Erdit nó sẽ tấn công sau hồi phòng ngự Erdit, bởi vì tính chất là như vậy thì nhà rớt sẽ bị nùng hai lượng khe rất là hở, hai cánh hai bên đều sẽ rất là khó để vào. Và bây giờ thì tốt cũng đã bắt đầu đặt mỏ 3 thôi, có vẻ như hơi muộn, tôi nghĩ có lẽ đây là một cách đánh an toàn. Và bây giờ anh ấy đang xin thêm Wapirum. Rớt sau khi có bên và Linh, nhà bên Linh thì có thể đép được đàn Erdit này một cách dễ dàng, chưa có gì là đặc biệt cả. Giờ chúng ta sẽ chờ xem pha drop tới của anh Hudson có thể gây được thiệt hại nhiều cho rớt không. Theo tôi đoán thì có lẽ đây sẽ là một chiến thuật multi drop, tức là anh ấy sẽ drop một đầu vào thẳng vào middle bay và Erdit sẽ xếp bóng vào bay thứ hai. Như vậy thì có thể phân tán ra được lực lượng quân của rớt. Và nhưng mà có vẻ như anh ấy chỉ trên mỗi cái con Wapium thôi ạ, thì chả xây thêm con mẹ gì cả. Mình nghĩ là đánh E với cả đánh Muta với Protoss thì vẫn là hoàn toàn khả thi thôi, chả vấn đề gì cả. Osu các thứ vẫn dùng đều mà. Có vẻ như là anh Lambo là anh ấy không đánh Muta hay sao ấy. Mình nghĩ là nếu mà đọc bài được thì có thể lên rút Muta từ khá là sớm, Muta linh bên, chả gì mà sợ cả. Nhưng mà tay đi con mẹ nó bỏ ấy nhà 7 con ạ. À không, và 7 con mà chỉ chết có một con Erdit. Hay, tôi đánh giá là khá hay. Rất nhiều, anh ấy chỉ chết một và anh ấy giết được rất nhiều linh. Ôi cái trò quái đấy, chỉ có 4 con Erdit mà. Mình biết là cái đoạn kia hold được rồi nhưng mà có vẻ như hơi ảo. Có vẻ như đây có thể hiện sự chênh lệch trình độ giữa hai đối thủ. Và anh Lambo anh ấy quyết định là rút thẳng lên Luker của Hydra, nhưng mà bây giờ anh ấy phải nhìn thấy bây giờ có đến tận 2 con Immortal và rất nhiều Sentry đang tới nơi rồi ạ. Bây giờ thì chỉ cần kéo Wapium về đây quát thêm một đợt unit nữa thì có lẽ sẽ sắp mật đồn thôi. Wow. Vâng, một pha bui một pha tấn công rất là hợp lý. Ôi rồi ôi. Hay, bây giờ trong đánh ra vào, ngoài đánh ra, trong đánh ra ngoài đánh vào. Mẹ đánh cục thế thì bố ai mà đỡ được. Nhưng mà vấn đề bây giờ là anh này gần như hoàn thành, anh rớt anh ấy có nhà Luker rồi. Nhưng mà chúng ta có thể bù lại là Protoss cũng có lượng kinh tế bây giờ đang chắc chắn là mạnh hơn so với rớt. Chúng ta có thể thể hiện qua lượng worker cũng như khả năng khai thác ổn định của Protoss. Còn rớt bây giờ thì còn đang phải vừa đối chọi với các đợt dép, các đợt phòng ngự từ đợt harass của Protoss. Và thứ nữa là anh ấy chết rất nhiều unit mà chả được giết được con gì mấy cả. Mình nghĩ là pha vừa rồi có thể một pha all in nữa có khi lại còn win ấy chứ, không phải đợi đến bây giờ đâu. Bây giờ đã mới xong nhà Luker ạ, và ngay lập tức anh ấy có mob ra con Luker đó không? Mình nghĩ bây giờ ngay lập tức mob ra, ôi dồi ôi, nhìn không nhầm là 8 con Luker. Bây giờ mob ngay lập tức thẳng ra 8 con Luker, vãi cả đái. Có vẻ như là, nhưng mà bên này cũng đã hoàn thành HT Storm rồi. Vậy thì 8 con Luker này thì và đàn linh bên này có lẽ sẽ giải quyết được hết đống Erdit cũng như Immortal thôi. Immortal có vẻ như là không đủ, bù lại anh ấy đang upgrade Blink rồi. Vậy cái bóng của con Phoenix này có thấy được cái nhà Luker không? Nếu thấy không biết thấy được nhà Luker thì có lẽ anh ấy sẽ có Observer thôi. Và không biết bây giờ Protoss có được Observer chưa? Nếu mà không có Observer thì sẽ là khá là một vấn đề, chứ không phải là vấn đề khá là to ấy, chứ không phải là gì đâu. Vâng, và bây giờ Luker chỉ việc cắm ngay lập tức rồi, kéo lên và cắm xuống. Cắm xuống, đúng rồi. Tôi xong con mẹ nó rồi. Vị trí đặt Luker tôi đánh giá là khá đẹp. Chắc chắn là sẽ mất nhà Cybernetic Core rồi. Và mất Cybernetic Core thì chỉ có thể warp ra Zilot. chả quát được ra con unit gì cả. Vấn đề là ở chỗ đấy đấy. Chúng ta có thể thấy, à không, Storm được rất nhiều, bây giờ cấu được rất nhiều máu của Luker. Giờ thì phải bờ linh thẳng mặt lên chứ để Luker nó xiên sọc này thì chỉ có nước sấp alone thôi. Bây giờ đã mất hết cả prop ở mỏ 2 rồi. Vậy thì chả còn một cái nhà gì ở mỏ 2 cả. Wow. Tôi đánh giá pha chọc khe Luker vừa rồi là một pha khá là hiểm. Chưa kể vừa tốt có vẻ như rất là thiếu tầm nhìn hạn chế và anh ấy kiểu hơi quắn hay sao ấy. Bây giờ mà vào theo cái đường dọc này anh ấy chắc chắn thua chứ chả gì mà đỡ cả. Rồi xong rồi. Storm được không đây? Tôi sẽ Storm Link, Storm thẳng vào Luker chứ. Đây, vấn đề bây giờ tình hình khá là tình hình. Bây giờ rớt chỉ cần lên 2 ra liên tục. Có vẻ như đầu game anh Hudson này làm rất tốt nhưng mà bắt đầu đến giữa game tự dưng anh ấy chùn tay lại là thế đéo nào. Bây giờ kéo đàn Luker cả 2 ra này vào cái khe thì thôi chả còn gì để mà đánh cả. Storm thì không có. Vâng và GG. Vậy là sẽ là một đều. Wow. Tôi không thể tin tưởng được. Thực sự mà nói thì nếu mà nhìn 7 phút đầu game thì chả ai nghĩ là Protoss có thể thua cả. Chỉ cần đẩy nhẹ cái là win mà. Hoặc là đẩy lên rồi sau đấy Forkill chặn ram lại. Như pha vừa nãy. Tôi nghĩ là chỉ cần 2 Warpium sẽ tốt hơn. Anh này lại thể hiện có một Warpium. Kéo hết Linh và bên vào. Tôi nhớ là pha đấy khi anh ấy Halat ở bên ngoài đập vào thì anh này có thể nếu lúc thì có thêm một Warpium nữa thì mọi việc có lẽ đã khác. Chỉ cần Watt thêm vài con Sentry và Stacker thì sẽ phá được cái base thứ 3. Đồng thời sẽ cancel rất nhiều thứ của nước. Hơi đen.
All currently going on at the moment. I can check in with some of the guys down here as well. So let's check with Artosis first. You were observing TLO versus Gauze game 2, correct?
Yes, that's right. It is over now, and
Yes.
TLO picked it up 2-0. Gauze was trying to be very sneaky. He started off by denying an Overlord scout with an overcharge, right, and killed that Overlord off. Threw down his Twilight and then completely walled on Abyssal Reef. So he literally didn't even have a way out of his base.